If you could rewind history to a single moment, one ordinary heartbeat that set the entire world on fire, you might end up standing on a narrow Sarajevo street on June 28, 1914. The air is bright, warm, deceptively calm. A car rolls slowly past the crowd, an open-top Graf and Stift limousine carrying an Austro-Hungarian Archduke and his wife. People lean in, some wave, some glare, and one young man, sweating through his jacket, steps forward with a pistol in his hand. In the next second, history splits like a struck match. The shots that ring out don't just kill a man, they ignite a war that will consume continents. That man is Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and his story starts long before that fateful morning. Franz Ferdinand was born on December 18, 1863, in Graz, Austria, into a world of immense privilege, but also immense rigidity. The Habsburg Empire was old, ancient even, weighed down by protocol, tradition, and layers upon layers of aristocratic expectations. Franz Ferdinand wasn't expected to become heir to the empire. In fact, he wasn't even close. He was the nephew of Emperor Franz Joseph, and as a young man, he ranked low in the succession. He grew up wealthy, of course, and groomed for noble life, but not for the throne. He was more of a spare part in the great machinery of dynastic politics. But fate has a habit of rearranging the pieces. When Franz Ferdinand was just 11, Crown Prince Rudolf, the emperor's only son, died in the infamous Meerling incident, a murder-suicide pact with his lover. The empire reeled. Suddenly, the line of succession jumped, and Franz Ferdinand found himself unexpectedly thrust forward. Later, the death of his own father moved him even closer. By the 1890s, he was heir presumptive to one of the largest empires in the world. Franz Ferdinand didn't exactly fit the mold of a traditional Habsburg ruler. He was stubborn, intelligent, opinionated, and notoriously blunt. He believed in efficiency, reform, and modernizing the state. The empire, sprawling across Central and Eastern Europe, was a patchwork of ethnicities. Czechs, Slovaks, Hungarians, Croats, Italians, Poles, Ukrainians, and many more. While many in Vienna insisted on central authority, Franz Ferdinand envisioned something different. He wanted to restructure the empire into a federation of equal nations, giving its many peoples greater autonomy. Ironically, this idea, intended to stabilize the empire, made him a target. Serbian nationalists feared that a strong, reorganized Habsburg Empire would crush their aspirations for a unified South Slav nation. But if politics made Franz Ferdinand complicated, his personal life made him downright scandalous. In the late 1900s, he fell deeply in love with Countess Sophie Chotek, a lady-in-waiting of noble lineage, but not noble enough for Habsburg standards. The Habsburgs were strict, ridiculously strict about the purity of royal marriages. Emperor Franz Joseph was livid when the Archduke insisted on marrying Sophie. The court resisted, the aristocracy whispered, and for years the relationship was practically forbidden. But Franz Ferdinand refused to give her up, even threatening to renounce his rights if he had to. Eventually, the emperor relented, but only under humiliating terms. The marriage would be morganatic, meaning Sophie would never become empress. Their children could not inherit the throne, and at official events, she was forced to walk behind even the lowest-ranking royals. It was petty, cruel, and deliberate. Franz Ferdinand endured it. He loved her completely, and by all accounts, theirs was a strong, happy marriage, one of the rare love matches in European royalty. They had 3 children and lived mostly away from court society, preferring quiet homes, hunting trips, and time with family. His temper was infamous, but with Sophie, he softened. By 1914, Europe was a political powder keg. Rivalries, alliances, and nationalist movements tangled like wires waiting for a spark. Bosnia and Herzegovina had been annexed by the Austro-Hungarian Empire just a few years earlier, fueling anger among Serbian nationalists who dreamed of unifying all Slavic peoples under Serbian leadership. Franz Ferdinand, as the heir to the empire, decided to visit Sarajevo to observe military exercises. It was a routine diplomatic tour. Sophie joined him, a rare chance for the couple to appear publicly together. Ironically, she later said she was glad to be at his side that day because it was their wedding anniversary weekend. What neither knew was that a small group of young conspirators, members of the secret nationalist organization known as the Black Hand, planned to assassinate him. They were inexperienced, sickly, and badly coordinated, but they were determined. On the morning of June 28th, the Archduke's motorcade rolled through Sarajevo. The route was published in the newspapers, making it incredibly vulnerable. As the cars approached the first conspirator, he froze. The second lost his nerve. The third, Nedeljko Shabranovich, hurled a bomb, but it bounced off the Archduke's car and exploded beneath the one behind it, injuring several people. Chaos erupted. The motorcade sped away, and the conspirators scattered, believing the attempt had failed. But history is stubborn. Later that morning, after visiting the wounded in the hospital, Franz Ferdinand insisted on returning to the city. A wrong turn brought his car onto a narrow street, exactly where another conspirator, Gavrilo Princip, happened to be standing. Princip stepped forward, raised his pistol, and fired 2 shots at point-blank range. One hit Sophie, one hit Franz Ferdinand. Both would die within minutes in the car, Sophie collapsing onto her husband's lap as he whispered, "Sophie, don't die. Stay alive for our children." News of the assassination ricocheted across Europe. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia and issued an ultimatum designed to provoke conflict. Russia mobilized to protect the Serbs. Germany pledged support to Austria-Hungary. France and Britain prepared for war. The dominoes fell with terrifying speed. Within a month, Europe had plunged into World War I, a catastrophe that would kill millions, rearrange borders, topple empires, and reshape the entire 20th century. And Franz Ferdinand? In a dark, ironic twist, many historians believe his vision of a federated, peaceful reform of the empire might have delayed or even prevented the explosion of tensions that followed his death. Instead, he became the spark historians still talk about more than a century later, not because he wanted war, but because his death made it unavoidable. Today, Franz Ferdinand is remembered not so much for how he lived, but how he died. His assassination became shorthand for the fragility of peace, the power of nationalism, and the way the world can pivot on a single moment. One man, one gun, an unlikely encounter on an ordinary street. But behind that moment was a complex human being, stubborn, serious, fiercely loyal to the woman he loved, eager to reshape a crumbling empire, and unaware that his final day would echo across generations. And so, when we talk about the start of World War I, we aren't just talking about treaties and armies and alliances. We're talking about Franz Ferdinand, a man caught at the center of forces bigger than he ever imagined, a man whose death became the spark for one of the most devastating events in human history.